everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today, I'm Bancroft, being joined by Jake this time, and he's brought us Mecha Frieza finally. And this is a 90-10 yellow-blue?
Yeah, 90 yellow, 10 blue.
Okay.
That's a good way to call it. There's more blue than that, but we're not spending any blue energy, boys.
Fair enough. And with that being said, like always, there's buttons. Feel free to click them. But Jake, let's take this away.
So, Mecha, this guy's been around forever. He reduces the energy cost of yellow extra cards you activate. And this deck, we're going to use U9 Assemble and a couple other extra cards to abuse this effect and create a really interesting control kind of pivot deck where we have the ability to kill early, but we prefer to kill late. So, start things off. 2 Basils. 2 Chappelles. We'll go grab these off of U9 Assemble, and they're not, I'm not as deep on these cards as a lot of other Mecha players are, and you'll see why later in the list. Both of these cards are strong. I like Basil more than Chappelle, and as time goes on, I like Chappelle less and less. And I think that's just because our local meta really knows how to play around this guy.
Fluff did play Topa for the longest time.
Yeah. So then we've got 3 Bergamos to round out the U9 stuff. Really solid card. Part of our kill turns, part of our kill engine in this deck. And as time goes on, I feel like I should have more of these in the list, but I don't exactly know what to cut for them. But for right now, 3 seems like a pretty solid number. It can rest your opponent's energy and keep them off of negates that would otherwise save their life. Then we've got 4 Bojacks, 4 Zamasu super combos, and 4 Sorel and Hop. Now, the reason we're so deep on Sorel and Hop isn't necessarily because of the blocker and auto that she has when she does block. This card really serves a lot of purposes in the deck. Like I said with the auto, when you block, your opponent has to make the choice of either switching a card to rest, which you often get benefit from, like on Bergamo, or your opponent will have to let you draw a card, and either way, you're okay with that exchange, especially in the early game. Like, if you go get this turn 1 off of U9 Assemble, you effectively turn off any threat your opponent's leader provides until they awaken. And then the main thing with this deck is that it's good Aegis food. If we have a Universe 9 already in play, it ignores energy exhaust, so it's a good charge target. It's just a general all-rounder for the deck, and that's why we don't mind seeing them outside of a U9. Whereas the other 2, the numbers are low, so we don't draw into them off of anything that isn't a U9 Assemble. Then we'll we'll save this. Let's do some more battle cards next. So for utility battle cards, we've got 2 of these Vegetas, 2 Poutines, a Cooler, and a Hidden Kai. So these are like the utility pieces of the deck. Poutine obviously will rest your opponent's cards as they come in if they're played by skill, or if your opponent's trying to block and negate a lot. This card is beneficial in those situations as well. Vegeta is really solid. I didn't have this in the list for a long time, but I decided to go deeper on my unison count with some of the stuff that came out in in set 14?
13.
13. Set 13. So, with some of those newer cards, this card kind of goes up for me. And if you've been watching the channel, this replaced the Draw Apes that were in the list last week. Then more utility. Cooler and Kai, both are there to kill your opponent. Cooler has the added benefit of being able to stop things like the Golden Avenger Baby. And I used to have 2 of them in the list, but at the current card count, I can't really justify more than 1, even though I want to play 2. And then Hidden Kai is in all my decks. You guys know the spice. Then, last utility battle card, we've got 3 of these Bardocks. I kind of wanted to talk about this card separately because as time goes on and I play more and more Mecha Frieza, this card feels less and less useful as I play more and more games with this deck. But in the games when you need it, you absolutely need it. So I don't know if we cut this down to 2 and play 51, if having the third copy is worth the 51st card. Tell me what you guys think in the comments, but I'm not sure on the right number of apes. It might be 2 and 4 Bergamos, and that just might be the play, but you guys can all have to tell me. And then moving into, let's move into negates. So we have 2 robotic riposte. Here's a couple card payments for you guys. You guys know how it is. Expensive cards are typically quite powerful, and robotic riposte is no exception. This is like a topo level of effect for yellow, where your opponent will have to rest cards each time they swing with a battle card, I believe it is. Anytime at all. Anything that's not a unison, actually, will proc robotic riposte and force your opponent to rest more cards. And if they run out of cards, then they obviously can't attack. Then, for extra cards, 3 Flying Nimbus, 3 Power of a Super Saiyan, 2 Frieza's Army Reinforcements, 4 U9 Assembles, and 1 Cold Bloodlust. This is a pretty standard extra card line for a Mecha Frieza. The only thing that's different about my list compared to others is I'm not 4 deep on Power or Nimbus. I feel like both of these cards are better, well, probably Power is better earlier in the game. And early in the game, you could only activate 1 extra card anyway. So going too deep on extra cards can be punishing, and it's been very difficult finding a balance. This card is just ridiculous. At one point, I was considering cutting Nimbuses for more of these, but Nimbus is just a better card in general. And then Cold Bloodlust is just one of the best extra cards in the game. It's limited to 1 for a reason. And being able to play it for free in our deck with the leader effect is huge. And then last up, U9 Assembles. This is what let us cut the draw apes. Draw 2, go get a guy if your opponent is tapped out. This card's good early, it's good late. There's really never a bad time for a U9 Assemble. I even cast these if my opponent isn't tapped out. Sometimes you just need the 2 cards. And then last up, we've got Unisons and the Kill package. So 4 Vegeta Unison of Fury. You guys have heard us talk about this card a lot. Pretty much in every game I win with this deck, I see at least one of these. Whether or not I board it is up in the air, but this is my preferred way to kill my opponent in Mecha Frieza. And then last, for Unisons, we have 2 Super Saiyan Trunks Altering the Future. This card is one of the most slept on cards in set 13. It's a 20k base on a Unison for 3 energy, which is pretty huge. And then the -3 effect will KO all of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, which you'll see can get really nasty in this list. And it'll draw you a card on top of that. So the ideal play is to cast this, swing twice at your opponent's leader because of the dual attack, and then -3 blow up their whole board and draw a card. Well, their whole board in rest mode, excuse me. Then last 2 cards, we have the Sen Shenron Secret Rare, which combos great with this Trunks Unison. And then Fu Shrouded, just because the deck very often gets to 6 energy, and this is just hard to find a better kill option on 6 than good old Fu Shrouded.
Yep.
And that's the list, y'all. I've got a Frieza's Army token, and that's about it.
This is Jake's longest profile ever. And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Earlier, I mentioned there's buttons. They're still there. Click them. Jake, last words.
If you want to win, you have to practice. If you think I should cut Bardock Apes, let me know.
With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Like always, read your cards, know your plays, and fluff out.